Light It Up Foundation is present that made this happen. Kim Claus, Dan Ortiz, Joshua Claus, Christopher Brandon, and the board members that have worked hand in hand for 3 years straight to help us out. It is greatly appreciated by everybody involved. With that being said, I am now going to turn the mic over to Dan Ortiz.
I have the honor of speaking briefly this evening on behalf of the Lacey Football Foundation about the Stadium Light Project. Let me start by thanking the members of the Board of Education, both past and present, who have allowed our foundation to complete projects that benefit our student body over the past several decades. Although the projects have been numerous communities, just looking around the stadium, there's the scoreboard, the track shed, the ticket booth, the entrance to the stadium, including more pavers, monuments, lines, and landscaping, the speaker system I'm speaking on, the giant press box that Court facilitated the biggest football conference, and the new stadium lights. While I've named a few here in the stadium, the projects of the Lacey Football Foundation have benefited many kinds of football programs, like a balance beam, volleyball net, cheerleading safety mats, an ice machine, even walking like sports. It's also great to see the graduates taking pictures of the stadium with the Lions are doing. Today, under the leadership of head football coach Lou Massaro, the Lacey Football Foundation has raised and spent about $750,000 right here at the high school. A couple years ago, we set a goal to raise $250,000 for new stadium lights and accomplished that in 5 years. We were able to raise the money but only by the generosity of the families in our community and all of our local businesses. Thank you. The light money specifically is raised by our volunteer committee through outright donations we receive announced later 3 quarters, cash raffles, golf outings, gift auctions, and lottery signage on the field. This will work off to the end, but our committee helpers are Kathy Cook, Laura Christina, Diane Hayes, and Rob Forrest. Our foundation stating the right committee is Colleen Burnett, Patty Sedley, Lisa Goodback, Lisa Wilhoff, Shannon Riley, Nicole Fabrice, Eric Stevenson, and myself. Last but not least, I'd like to thank Kim Claus, our Light Committee Chair, who believes this project was completed in only 2.5 years. Kim is determined to make our night into a real community event and to see that for all people here this evening. Kim put her heart and soul to making Friday Night Lights a reality in Lacey. How about a big hand for Kim today? Thank you, football.
I would now like to thank again the committee, board members, administration, Chief Developer for taking the time to come out tonight, and also up here as announcer, if you just turn around for a brief second, Mr. Dan Ortiz, who made this happen with Kim Claus. If you could get one last round of applause for everybody. To the alumni that have made this happen, we appreciate you, and we appreciate you making this community very important and continuing on the pride and tradition of Lacey. On that note, let's cut this ribbon. 3, 2, 1.
At this time, we ask that you all please rise and honor America as our Lacey Township High School band plays our national anthem.
We are under the lights tonight. I'm Jake Serrano. Alongside me is Dan McClung. First game under the lights, Dan. How do we think this one's going to go?
I'm really excited to see what happens here tonight. Lacey winning their first game last week against Steiner, 14-6. I'd like to see if that winning streak can continue as they take on the Monmouth Regional Falcons here tonight. Under the lights, first time ever.
Yeah, Dan. Last week, Lacey had a 14-6 victory over Steiner.
I'd like to see if it continues here tonight. Obviously, the Monmouth Regional Falcons fell to Homedale 34-0, so they had a tough loss last week. But at the same time, we do know Homedale is looking very impressive this year, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can bounce back after that loss tonight as they play Lacey.
Yeah, one thing to watch for tonight, Dan, Lacey ran the ball over 40 times last week.
Yeah, Justin Gorski had 22 of those carries actually for 89 yards, so the rushing game has been huge for them already this season.
Yeah, expect Steiner to load that box tonight and really to contest Lacey's passing game. So, Dan, it's our first game under the lights, ribbon cutting ceremony. Are you excited?
I'm very excited. I have the privilege of being here to call the game. It's something I've doing a couple years now, but it's really something new and special that we're here on a Friday night now, being able to do it under the lights. Never done before here at Lacey Lions Field.
Yeah, Lacey coming in 1-0. Monmouth Regional Falcons coming in 0-1 after that crucial loss, like you said before, last week.
Homedale is a very tough team, though. We know that, so I definitely see them bouncing back being a possibility tonight. They have a lot of potential. I really think that if they're at their best, this could be a great game here tonight under the lights. Can't say it enough, under the lights.
It's a brand new division for Lacey, too. All new teams.
Mm-hmm. They're still coached by Lou Versillo, though, who is the winningest coach in Shore Conference history with 291 wins, 144 losses, and 3 ties. Very impressive record for him. He's still coaching Lacey after years of being here. Been a big part of this team.
Lacey head coach, as we know, Lou Versillo, winningest head coach in Shore Conference history.
Monmouth Regional is coached by Dan Wendell.
It looks like Lacey's going to do the kickoff to the Falcons.
We are underway.
Falcons will start off on offense to begin the game.
Pretty decent field position for the kickoff. They're at about the 30-yard line, so a little less ground to cover here on their first drive against the Lions.
We'll see how the Falcons do tonight. They run a lot of shotgun, a lot of design quarterback runs, and their quarterback's not afraid to throw the ball. So we'll see how this one goes tonight.
Lacey's defense looked very impressive last week against Steiner, only allowing 6 points. It'll be interesting to see.
2 interceptions last week, too.
Looking impressive already, as I was saying. So let's see if it continues here tonight.
No, they'll take it later.
The Falcons getting some ground on that Lacey's defense.
Just short of the first down. It'll probably be about 2nd and 2. Maybe 3.
As the Falcons will line up in the shotgun position and 2nd down. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see here, Dan, the Falcons' strategy tonight. I watched a lot of film. I watched a lot of games. It'll be interesting to see. I told you before, a lot of design runs. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out tonight against this Lacey defense.
Monmouth is going to get the first down on penalty called at about the 43-yard line.
Brian Yatlone is the quarterback tonight for Monmouth Regional Falcons. He's the guy, like I said. He's not afraid to pass it, and he's not afraid to run either and use his legs.
You know, having a quarterback like that is very crucial. He can absolutely be a key factor in this game tonight. Quarterback that's not afraid to run is a huge part of the team. Like Cam Newton, for an example, or
Yeah,
Russell
Dan,
Wilson.
just right here.
Fumble.
And it looks like Lacey picked up the fumble.
Lacey says they have it.
And Lacey's got the fumble. It's a fumble recovery for Lacey. And Lacey's offense is going to come out onto the field.
Their defense already off to a solid start, coming off that great victory they had last week. So
Yeah.
now they will have
3
great field
turnovers,
possession.
2 turnovers last week, 1 turnover today. Lacey's defense is already coming off to a hot start.
They will get the ball on Monmouth's 45-yard line, so already great field position to start. Let's see what their offense does.
Yeah, Lacey's offense is led by Noah Bernardi, number 8, and Justin Gorski in the backfield.
Noah Bernardi is a sophomore for Lacey, but he's already played great for the Lions. Young quarterback, but absolutely a deadly quarterback for any defense in this conference.
Lacey's going to line up in the I formation. They give it to Kolachik. Kolachik's running downfield. And Kolachik with a big chunk of yards. Dan, that's one thing they did last week, and that's one thing they did well last week is run the ball, and they ran heavy.
You know, going to Lacey High School, I've known Mike Kodlachik for a long time. He's a very powerful back. He's always dangerous no matter where you play him. Fullback position looks really deadly for him.
Dan, tonight, the Falcons got to load up that box. I'm expecting them to load it up with 8-man, 9-man fronts as Lacey ran the ball over 40 times last week. And you can see it right here. Lacey's having a great time getting a good chunk of yards against his defense.
Absolutely. We just talked about Kodlachik. They also had Justin Gorski, who I said earlier had 22 carries for 89 yards.
And here
That's
goes
huge.
Gorski. Gorski down the field. He's in the open field. It's a touchdown for Lacey.
Gorski's first run of the night, and he takes it to the house.
Lacey went down in 2 plays and scored a touchdown.
Very solid start. Turnover right away, forced fumble, and they're already in the end zone about 5 minutes into this game.
Amazing start for Lacey's offense. What
Not
a
even 5
momentum
minutes.
shift for them. Have the turnover and scoring points off of that turnover. That's one hell of a start for Lacey Township.
Not even 5 minutes into the game. It's less than 3, actually.
And Lacey's going for the extra point. Jack Burrell on the kick. So Lacey lines up for the extra point, and it's good. 7-0, Lacey.
Incredible start for the Lions here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, stuck to their strategy like last week. Simple as can be. Run the ball, and they got the touchdown. Play great defense and play, strong running game. Dan, they can run it like no tomorrow. They have a good strength of running backs. Ty Jensen. We saw Justin Gorski go for the touchdown, and Mike Kolachik with a big chunk of yards.
We talked about how deadly their defense was, especially after they forced that fumble really early in this game, and then out of nowhere, their offense came off to an incredible start with runs by Kolachik and Gorski. They already saw the end zone, already put 7 points on the board.
Yeah, Dan, it will be interesting to see on the upcoming games. Chase Granite's hurt. We know he played a big part in the beginning of his sophomore year. He hasn't proven to stay healthy, and that's one big problem. But for Lacey, Mike Kolachik, Justin Gorski are seniors. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out next year. I know they found another guy in Ty Jensen who knows how to run the ball and can run the ball. It'll be interesting to see how that storyline plays out and when he will be coming back. Granite plays a big part in this offense as well.
I'm wishing nothing but a speedy recovery for Granite. He's done a lot for the Lions already, but at the same time, they've really recovered ever since he's been injured, because we have a couple of other great backs who already showed in this first drive here tonight.
Yeah, Justin Gorski and Mike Kolachik really proved that they can carry the load.
Absolutely.
And the Falcons are going to receive this one.
Great kickoff.
Down the sideline and out of bounds. It was a big hit by Bobby Evans. That's one thing he specializes in, and one thing he loves. And when I talk to him, he always tells me, when he goes running down that field, he's looking to crack someone, and that's what he did right there.
Monmouth was calling for a late hit, I heard, but it looked good to me. He still looked like he was in bounds and even trying to get a couple extra yards. So they will get the ball at about the 28-yard line.
Yeah, Dan, we got 9 minutes left to go. Still a lot of time in the first quarter, and Lacey's already off to a great start.
Absolutely. Monmouth can't fall behind here. They can't give up now just because they gave up a touchdown. They just got to do whatever they can to get back in this game. Got to keep playing hard if they want to stand a chance against the Lions.
And it looks like the Falcons are going to be an empty set right now.
In the shotgun again.
No back set with the quick screen. And they're going to pick up a big chunk of yards. The Falcons running down the sideline and up to the 50-yard line.
You were right about Monmouth's quarterback earlier. He's often in the shotgun, and it's huge for them.
That was a big chunk of yards and a great play design. Dan, way to get – sometimes short passes are better than long passes. You cut them short, and you pick up that big chunk of yards.
Yeah, it was still enough for a first down. They're at the 45-yard line now.
Another no back look. Another quarterback design run stuffed by Lacey's defense. Damn, we're going to see a lot of that tonight.
Yeah, Lacey read that play very well. Looked like he was almost going to give off the handoff, but then he took it himself. But it looks like it's going to be a gain about half a yard at most.
Yeah, Yadlin with the run, the quarterback for the Falcons. Only gained up about 1 or 2 yards, Dan. As Lacey's substituting players. And the Falcons are going to run another shotgun look.
Worked for them last time. I don't blame them for going back to it.
And they're going to pitch it to their running back as he gets stuffed in the backfield for a tackle for loss, but there is a flag on the field.
Looked like
could possibly be a horse collar.
Horse collar or face mask. I couldn't see from far away.
Yeah.
I feel it had to be one or the other, though.
Looks like it's against Lacey Township. It is that face mask, Dan. Yep, you could see it right from far away, just the way he went down. which is never good too. Horse collars and face masks are always a dangerous part in the game.
Everybody was okay on that play, though, and it's going to be a 15-yard penalty, which is huge for Monmouth. Now they are in across midfield.
This could swing a little momentum for them as they are reaching in the field goal range.
They're answering back quickly. Lacey was off to that hot start, but they look ready to play again.
As the Falcons running to the sideline. Only a gain of about 3. Dan, I was doing a little research, and I found this kind of interesting. Lacey's built around a good core of 10 seniors. They have at least 20 sophomores and 21 juniors. It's a very young team and a lot of talent.
Yeah, they've proven even if they are a younger team, they're capable of competing with some great teams. Like they beat Steinert last week with a score of 14-6. Steinert, another great team, but Lacey was able to come out on top.
And when I say core group of seniors, that's a lot of leadership and that's a lot of experience to these young guys and how they can build a team moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Lacey looks like they're going to have a great team for a couple years now.
Another motion. And an incompletion by Yadlin, trying to roll out and off the hands of the wide receiver.
Monmouth is still out of field goal range here, so first down here, or at least a gain of some yards. They'll still most likely be out of field goal range even if they gain a couple yards. So
that's another thing the Falcons like to do is a lot of rollouts and a lot of sprints to the left side. The quarterback likes to move, Dan. You're going to see a lot of that tonight. You're going to see a lot of motion, a lot of empty set, a lot of shotgun. This is what they like to do. This is their offense.
A quarterback like that is just so dynamic for a team. It really
very versatile.
The entire team's offensive calls.
And they're going to roll it again to the left side. And Lacey's going to get the sack.
Loss of over 10 yards there. Almost back at midfield. Lacey will now get the ball back unless they want to go for it on
Lacey's
4th and
defense
20.
once again holding up, Dan.
Like you look at how Monmouth had a couple of solid plays their first drive as well, but Lacey was able to force that fumble. They got right back in this game very quickly.
That's one thing Lacey's defense can kind of seep through on. There's a lot of sprints and a lot of rollouts, like I said, so Lacey can kind of find the holes in that and find the gaps and find the weaknesses, and they could potentially get, more sacks than just one tonight.
I'm excited to see their offense playing again.
Expect
another drive.
A good game from Lacey's defense as they're showing it right now. As the Falcons are going to go and punt the ball. And it's fumble. A missed punt. And Lacey looks like they've recovered the ball.
They're going to get great field position again at about the 35-yard line.
The Falcons just bobbled the ball, and Lacey, another momentum shift, and they're in great field position, Dan.
Absolutely. That's how they started their last drive. They were at about the 35, I believe, and then they were able to take it to the end zone in 2 drives. I was saying before, I'm really excited to see another offensive drive for them because they were able to score, but it was done so very quickly, so I'd like to see them mix a couple new plays in maybe, and then see if their offense is able to perform at that high level again.
Dan, there was that big loss, 34-0 against Homedale for Monmouth Regional last week. Early in the show, I asked, how can Monmouth Regional bounce back from that big loss they had? And it's not really showing tonight. There's been a lot of miscommunication and a lot of mistakes so far. We'll see how the game progresses, and hopefully they can get those mistakes fixed up.
The best thing you can do is just try your best to move on from it because it goes without saying.
Too high for Stevenson over there as they run the waggle.
Yeah, but it goes without saying that nobody likes to lose, especially with a score of 34-0. But you got to keep in mind that Homedale is a great team. It's going to happen when you play teams that are very high level like that. So the best thing you can do is just come out the next day and play at your highest level. Forget about yesterday.
Right. And Dan, that's another key part of their team. Their fullback, Scotty Stevens, has played a big part in this team. Was a freshman last year, now a sophomore. And he's a house. He's a big guy, and he has a lot of power, and he runs angry.
Again, with a lot of young players on this team, Stevens is another one.
They give it to Gorski, and Gorski's up the middle, and they're pushing that line, and Gorski is coming close to the first down.
That's the thing that's so entertaining about Lacey's backs this year is they all have so much power, so they're always going to be pushing for a couple extra yards. It looks like Gorski was still just short of a first down here, but it's going to be 3rd and about 1. I just love watching them push for that extra yards. It really makes it a lot more entertaining to watch for me.
You know, Dan, one thing I'm wondering is, if Monmouth can stop this run, we saw it last week and we're seeing here again, Lacey's able to push the field with their running game. It'd be interesting to see. The Falcons got to load up the box to stop this running game, and they got to contest Lacey's passing game and contest our wide receivers as they give it to the fullback up the middle for another 3 or 5 yard gain. And
Again,
have to find a way to stop the rush attack of Lacey.
yeah, especially Lacey hasn't thrown the ball only once, and it was actually incomplete. So, but every run play they've had so far, I believe, was a gain of at least 5 yards, with the exception of maybe that one. It might have been a little bit less, but besides that, they broke for a touchdown, and then I just think the run game is going to be huge for them.
Dan, interesting
night.
fact. If Coach V were to win this game, it would be his 292nd win of his career.
He is the winningest coach in Shore Conference history. He's been here for a while, and
As
Lacey,
Bernardi throws it deep, and it's going to be incomplete. As Bernardi got hit on the throw, as Lacey looking to throw the ball deep on that one.
I feel like Lacey should keep running the ball because
Yeah, Dan, run until it's gone, right? Run until it
if
works.
it's working, keep going, I would say.
Lacey tried to switch it up there, throw it deep, and Bernardi got hit on the throw, and double coverage on the pass play. There was just no room to wiggle there, and the pass was incomplete.
Monmouth has shown only a couple plays so far that have been passed, but Monmouth has shown very good pass defense tonight.
Another run by Lacey as they set up in the I formation, and Gorski. Gorski's going around tackles, and he's into the end zone for another Lacey touchdown.
That's what I'm talking about with that run. Those backs have so much power. Gorski is a great combination of both power and quickness. He is a very hard back to be stopped. And he was able
Gorski
to get in the end zone again.
On the run, very elusive runner, ran all the way around to the corner of the end zone and diving in for the touchdown. Just an incredible run by Gorski yet again. 2 touchdowns in this game already.
That's something I didn't mention earlier. I was talking about how every Lacey back that I could think of has a ton of power, but they're also extremely quick as well, and that's what makes them so dangerous.
Dan, just a formidable backfield as Jack Burrell gets that kick through the uprights, and Lacey's up 14-0 with 4 minutes to go left in this first quarter. Dan, just one thing to note is how versatile this backfield is. You have Ty Jensen, who's another powerful, elusive runner. Scotty Stevens, who's another power runner. Michael Kolajic, who's another power runner. And then you have Justin Gorski, who's elusive and powerful. Can just shake it and shake off those tackles. And then you have Chase Granite. When he's healthy, he seems almost unstoppable too. So, what a backfield and what a job by this coaching staff to get these players to where they are today.
Yeah, it's going to be even harder when we have Chase Granite back because he has posed a threat already when he was playing his sophomore year.
What could it be? As we're saying right now, Dan, what could it be with all these backs they have and all these weapons? How could this offense shape up? What can Coach Smith and Coach V do to open up this offense even more with all these? And if Chase Granite is to come back healthy, what could it be is what we're really saying. And that is something interesting to note and something to look forward to.
Absolutely. We've already been very dangerous with our backs with a 14-6 victory over Steiner once again, and then already up 14-0 here in the first quarter.
As a squib by Lacey, and the Falcons are just going to fall on it. Eric Petez falls on the squib.
They want to make sure they get another offensive drive there, not lose the ball again, so they're going to just take it easy.
Dan, it'd be interesting to see 14-6 last week. We're 14-0 this week. Lacey's offense kind of got stifled after scoring those 2 touchdowns. I know they were kind of separated. Let's see if Lacey's offense later in the game can keep that momentum going, as the defense will try and stop the Falcons another time.
If anything, Lacey's defense has given up a couple big plays, so I really believe that Monmouth has the ability to put a little bit more pressure on them, but offense has looked extremely solid all game, and they've scored both drives, touchdowns. And so I think if Monmouth is going to stand a chance, they got to put some more pressure on the defense. That's the key.
Yet another empty set. from the Falcons. And looks like there's a little miscommunication going on in the field as they're going to get this play set back up. But another empty set, no back look for the Falcons as it's another pass play. And Lacey's there for the tackle. A catch by Yasan Moore. Dan, I don't know if you saw on the other side, they were looking to throw another screen. A lot of short passes, a lot of intermediate throws, and as they're lining up in a four-man set, a bunch look on the right side of the field and a single man on the left. Watch out for that single over on the left side.
With the shotgun call that we've been seeing a lot of tonight, they've been very dangerous with both passes and screens.
And Dan, they threw it over to the left side, singled out one-on-one coverage, and that might be something the Falcons will be looking out tonight to contest individual corners and see how good their coverage is.
That's mainly what has worked for Monmouth so far, those pass plays, those screens. They're able to pick up a first down there at about the 42, 43-yard line.
And Dan, just like Lacey, they're going to continue what works. Another bunch look and another single set outside.
Same formation.
And Lacey's going to get back there and get another sack. Lacey's defense, 2 sacks on the night.
That's what makes Lacey so dangerous because, as you were saying, that play call was working for Monmouth, but they're able to adapt to that, and they're able to step it up so they can do whatever it takes to defend that play call, make sure they don't get burned by it again.
Dan, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of energy from this Lacey team, and it's continuing tonight. You can feel it. After one play goes bad, they come back and get another one. That's way to adapt, just like you said, and Lacey's improving, and that defense is looking to hold this offense.
That's just a great thing about Lacey sports in general, Jake. It's not even just the football team. Whenever we call the basketball games, they're always enthusiastic, and that's always what keeps them in the game.
And looks like there's going to be another flag on the play, but Lacey blitzed on that play and got in the backfield for a tackle for a loss. So way to switch it up on defense, throw in a blitz and get back there. As the Falcons ran a shotgun run in, looks like the Falcons are going to be backed up.
Looks like a second and about 25.
Looks like the Falcons are going to be backed up after that penalty.
Long way to go for a first down there at about the... They're moving it back up. Never mind.
Dan, this is a big season for us, our last season here.
Oh, so Lacey took... I think they declined the penalty,
Right.
so it would be third down. There we go. Long way to go. They got to get across midfield if they want to get this first down.
As Yadlin and 2 flags fly onto the field, multiple flags out there. Could be a false start. False start on the Falcons. Another 5 yards back. And, these penalties are killer. 2 penalties in a row. You can't be getting this if you're the Falcons. It's a momentum killer. Dan, you got to learn to be more disciplined, and your offense is down, and you can't keep getting these penalties. It's a big problem.
Penalties are truly a game changer, especially in high school games. You look at how Lacey had that 15-yard face mask call against them, and that's almost what opened it up for Monmouth. They got across midfield with that. They were in a better position, but Lacey was able to step it up. They actually had a sack after that, I believe. So the penalties can be
and
really
a tackle
deadly.
for loss. So
That too.
This offense, all we've seen tonight is moving backwards, and these penalties aren't helping. Dan, it's like I said before, it's our last season. It's a big season for us. We're looking to pass the torch for next season, but me and you are rocking all the way through football, basketball, all the way to the spring.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I know our fans are sad.
I'm sure they are. We've really had a great time being able to do this for... I actually started in my freshman year. I called a couple games with my older brother, who was the director of sports
Right,
back.
you've been here for 4 years. I've been here for 3.
You've been commentating for 3, yes.
Another empty set, motion look for the Falcons as they go for another pass, pump, fake, and another sack for Lacey. As this defense on fire tonight, calling off another corner blitz. Justin Gorski in there for the sack.
Justin Gorski, incredibly versatile player. He's on defense after 2 touchdowns on offense already. Now he's picking up a sack. It's going to be about 4th and 30, it looks like. So,
Actually, excuse me, that was Dylan Hilsheimer. I apologize. Dylan Hilsheimer in for the sack, which means they sent a safety blitz off the right side. And, Dan, a bunch of different looks this Lacey defense is giving the Falcons, and they just look off key.
Yeah, they haven't had that one breakthrough play that they need, really.
And another block for Lacey. Lacey's going in.
Wow.
And another score for Lacey Township. The Lions are on fire tonight, Dan.
Now we got incredible work on the special teams, too. We have 2 touchdowns on offense, 2 turnovers on defense, and now we have a special teams touchdown for Lacey after a blocked punt.
3 sacks, 2 blocks, 3 touchdowns. Lacey is on fire tonight.
All in the first quarter. We still got 1:44 to go, and they're currently up 20-0 before the extra point.
Dan, this team tonight is looking formidable.
Absolutely. 100%. I haven't seen anybody perform this well in recent times.
As Jack Burrell through the uprights.
Giving the Lions a 21-0 lead in the first quarter.
Well, actually, Dan, still out on the field.
Excuse me. Looks like
A little miscommunication on the field. And is Lacey going to re-kick? It looks like Lacey's going to re-kick it.
I'm not sure what the call was down
penalty on the Falcons, Monmouth Regional. So Burrell's going to re-kick for the extra point. And Burrell through the uprights, 21-0 against the Monmouth Regional Falcons. And Dan, what more could you say tonight? I mean, they're playing fast, playing smart, playing disciplined. I mean, if you're a coach right now for Lacey, you have to be happy with what you're looking at.
It's been an incredible effort all around. I said it before, but really all aspects of Lacey's team. The offense, 2 touchdowns, the defense, 2 turnovers, and then now we have the special teams with a blocked punt turning into a touchdown. It's really everything about Lacey, and once again, it goes back to all the enthusiasm they play. They're excited to be here. They're always practicing, willing to give their best just to make sure their team can perform at the highest level possible.
Dan, and when they were going to kick that punt, I was thinking to myself, and I almost said it before the block, I was going to say, you know, how can Monmouth Regional hold up again and not make another mistake? The snap was clean, and then Lacey broke through for that block, and Dan, there's just a lot of miscommunication, a lot of mistakes from this Monmouth Regional team right now, and
Monmouth just has to
they
keep
need
playing
to
at their best.
Make an adjustment.
Because especially after coming off that loss they had last week, you really don't want to fall with a score like this again. They were shut out 34-0. They got to at least put something on the board. They got to just keep fighting until they can get something. And then a lot of the times we see that turn into even more momentum and they're able to come back. Obviously, this is a pretty big deficit right now, but they really just got to keep playing until they get something.
As Monmouth Regional's offense will come back out.
Lining up in the shotgun again.
1:39 left to go in the first quarter.
Despite Lacey's defense playing very well to prevent them from scoring a lot, or scoring at all, I should say, the shotgun has worked well.
Run to the outside as Lacey makes the tackle. That's Justin Gorski on the tackle.
I said it earlier, after I thought that he had that sack, even though it wasn't him, but one way or another, Gorski, incredibly versatile player, both offense and defense. Hard hit there. Monmouth is still going to get a gain of about 3 yards, but Gorski's incredibly dynamic for Lacey.
Wiggins on the run for the Falcons. And a toss to Wiggins on the outside and getting stuffed. Pile pushed back by Lacey's front 7.
That's another thing with Lacey. It's just when a Lacey player makes a play, it's not one person tackling them. You got 4 or 5 guys there just taking them down all together.
And Dan,
they work incredibly well as a team.
And that's one thing to note too. You know, Lacey doesn't just have one single player coming down and make the tackle and waiting for him to make the tackle. One person makes the tackle, and they all come around and make that tackle and play as a team and play as a unit on defense.
They're all of them are there together to make the play. As somebody who goes to Lacey High School with a lot of these kids, I know that they have a great team chemistry, and that's huge. People don't realize how big that is for a team.
And Yasan Moore with the catch over the middle as Yadlin threw the ball. And Dan, we've seen a lot of production from juniors tonight on the Monmouth Regional Falcons. Could be still learning experience for them, possibly, and could be looking for next year as well.
Yeah, they're obviously off to a rough start this season, but at the same time, they still are a young team, kind of like Lacey. So they still have a lot to look forward over the next couple of years as we get to the end of the first quarter.
Dan, one thing to note is Zach Stroin out with a hip tonight, original kicker junior. Jack Burrell out there as a sophomore. His first game under lights for varsity, kicking very well. 3 extra points in a row, 3 for 3. One thing that can't go unnoted, and an excellent performance so far by Burrell.
Stroin's a great kicker, as even though he couldn't play tonight, but Jack Burrell was really able to pick it up. Another really young player for Lacey that we've talked about a lot. We've talked about how we have a lot of young players on Lacey, but they're always able to pick it up, and they're always able to stay in these varsity games, even as sophomores, which is incredible to watch.
Yeah, Dan, they always say next man up, and he sure stepped up tonight so far.
3 extra points already. Off to a great start.
You know, I was there at practice watching the game, watching them practice. Zach Stroin went out, and I said to myself, "What is Lacey going to do? Who's the next man up?" And he sure has stepped up tonight.
Lacey's roster does have a lot of depth, making them a very dangerous team. That's a huge part that people don't realize, because you look at the NFL, for example, you lose your star quarterback, your team can be done sometimes, but Lacey just has so many players waiting to get on the field. Not saying an injury doesn't hurt them, but at the same time, it doesn't have as
so
large
much depth. You're right, Dan.
Doesn't have as large of an effect
with
as
so much young talent as well. 21 juniors and 20 sophomores. That's a lot of depth and a lot of talent. A lot of young talent.
Lacey looks like they're going to stay on top for a couple of years then. They're off to a great start this season.
Yeah, that's a lot of great experience, and especially the offense as well. Chase Granite, when he's healthy, and Noah Bernardi both played together as sophomores, and will play together as juniors and play together as seniors, as Yadlin throws the ball to the sideline, and Lacey can't make the tackle, and they tackle him around
at about
35.
32.
Yeah.
A little bit further than that, actually.
Dan, we're trying our best. Hard to get those yardage placements.
Yeah. Looking from far away, but looks like about the 33-yard line.
We've seen so far from this Monmouth Regional offense, as they're actually coming up on the red zone, these outside looks, these short intermediate throws are really what's working. It's just a matter of, can they protect Yadlin?
They got a quarterback with a great arm. He's really been putting the passes where they need to be, but Lacey just has such an aggressive defense. They're always there to make the play.
And a motion and another designed run for Yadlin, as we've seen twice on this drive, go for minimal yards, 1, maybe 0 yards gained.
Looks like actually a loss of about half a yard.
Dan, I think Lacey was prepared for this. They knew it was coming.
They're really good at reading. They have been really good at reading the plays so far tonight, because they're able to adjust. If Monmouth comes away with a big play, which we have seen tonight already, Lacey's able to pick up on that and able to prepare for the next play. They're ready to see it again.
You said they're able to read the plays, Dan. That goes back to their linebackers, their Mike and their Will. Those guys key in on the guards, and they watch for the sprint plays. And you know what? Give credit to these linebackers and this whole defense for reading these plays very well, as Yadlin gets it out quick for the rush. And
third and about short it's going to be.
Almost the first down, Dan.
And I think that's what the problem for Monmouth has been so far, because Lacey has used some similar plays. Obviously, Gorski has 2 touchdowns already running the ball. I don't think they've done a great job of adjusting to Lacey's plays. They've used some similar plays already, but Monmouth hasn't been able to capitalize with their defense.
And Dan, give credit to Mike Kalanchik and Bobby Hicks out there. 2 of their starting linebackers have been starting, or at least playing for varsity, for 3 years now, and you know, just doing a great job, able to lead this team in the way they need to lead it, and able to read their keys and do their job.
They've done great tonight, but you got to give credit to the entire Lions defense, because, as I was saying before, no matter where the ball is, no matter if it's a pass play or run, you got 5 guys there making the tackle every time. It's just not a single player on the Lions defense gives up on the play. They're all there trying to make the play, no matter how far away they are, and it really shows great team chemistry and how far they've come as a team.
And Monmouth Regional will come back out. And there's 9 minutes, 27 seconds, 21-3, 3rd down and 2. As the Falcons need a first down to gain in red zone territory. This will be their first time in the red zone all tonight.
The Lions have been very clutch, though, when Monmouth has driven down the field a little bit, because they've had great plays. They haven't reached the end zone or even a field goal yet, but once they get down the field, the Lions just come ready to play.
And another run. Wiggins being pushed back by Lacey's defense.
Looks like he's going to be short of the first down.
And it looks like it's going to be 4th down.
They actually lost a little bit, it looks like. A very little bit.
What will Monmouth do? And Dan, I think it's interesting to see Monmouth Regional likes to play a lot of spread, a lot of open set, no back looks, and really spread this defense out. So Lacey is really getting a lot of one-on-one coverage. There's no one back deep. Everyone's on an island.
Yeah, Jake, but it's worked very well for the Lions. Going for it on 4th down.
And Yadlin, incomplete, almost intercepted by Justin Gorski as the Falcons turnover on downs, and they are unable to get the first down and capitalize on points. It could have been their first points tonight.
It was probably beneficial for Justin Gorski to drop that ball, actually. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but we were going to get the turnover on downs either way. Now we have better field position. We're at about the 27-yard line, so it worked out a little bit better for them, because if he caught that, had the interception, we would have been within the 10-yard line, so less ground to cover for the Lions if they want to score again.
And Dan, I don't know if it was strategic or not, or if this was planned for them to go on 4th down. To me, it looked like they needed the touchdown. They didn't want to go for 3 and needed that touchdown, as Gorski running hard up the field for another good gain. And Lacey controls this game. They control the clock right now. They're on offense. They can do whatever they want, Dan.
Yeah, they've looked really solid so far, and as you were saying before, I agree 100% with Monmouth going for it on that 4th down, because you don't want to take a chance at a field goal, really, because it was still a pretty long field goal. When you're down by this much, you really need to put some big points on the board if you want to get back in this
Dan,
at all.
Let me ask you a question. They made it so far in the red zone, and they just got stopped. What stifled this Monmouth Regional offense once again? What happened there?
It's been Lacey's defense, I feel like, that's just been truly dangerous to them, because they've been able to adjust to the plays. Monmouth has brought it downfield 2 or 3 times already tonight, but Lacey's able to pick up on their plays, to see what they're going to call, and they capitalize on it.
Dan, I think it's interesting how, like I said before, this Monmouth team is really spreading out these Lacey corners and Lacey safeties, putting them on islands, one-on-one coverage. It'll be interesting to see how Monmouth Regional will be able to adapt and kind of adjust to that and make a difference in the second half. That's one thing to look out for. We saw a lot of intermediate passes, a lot of short passes kind of be open and be caught by these Falcons receivers. That could become a problem in the second half.
Yeah, Jake, they really should be looking to try something different in the second half, because obviously whatever it's been that they have been doing, it hasn't been working for them. It's no other way to say it, because they're down 21-0. They had the kickoff, the first kickoff of the game, so they're going to lose the ball at halftime. And Lacey has the ball once again, moving down the field already. They're at about the 45-yard line. So they really just got to try something different in the second half, I believe.
Right. They really have to make a second half adjustment, second time adjustment. And
I'm not sure what that might be, but it's got to be something different.
It's got to be, they got to limit mistakes, Dan. They have to have better communication. And a reverse by Lacey.
Big block by number 50.
And Bobby Evans turning up the field and down to the 30-yard line in Falcons territory. Damn, what a reverse, what a play.
There was part of that play was a huge block from Nick Christina, number 50.
And another young player.
It looks like we're going to have called back, actually, on a penalty.
Another flag. Dan, like I said, mistakes, penalties, miscommunication. I think the Falcons have a good game plan. You could see it on offense. You could see it before they move down the field. The special teams for the Falcons needs to be cleaned up.
I think the main thing out of what you said was probably the miscommunication so far, because
And that's what it looked like on special teams as well.
if you're communicating correctly, there shouldn't be a blocked punt, or you shouldn't be able to break huge run plays like that.
All things
So
we'll see
I think that's been the main thing.
in the second half. And halftime adjustments will be big for Monmouth Regional.
Lacey's going to face about a 2nd and 15 after the penalty.
And another eye look twin set for Lacey as they pass the ball. Short screen. Lacey's going down the field, over past the 50. And they're just going to get tackled around the 50-yard line. Another first down for Lacey Township.
Bernardi put that throw where it needed to be. It's enough for another first down, and now they're across the 50-yard line again.
And Dan, we're seeing it. They can not only run the ball, but when they need to, they can pass the ball. And just like
When they need
the
to,
Falcons, they threw a short screen over to the twin side and picked up a big chunk of yards.
Another thing I love about watching Lacey football is that they can have a huge play like that, and nobody likes it when a play like that gets called back, because it kind of ruins your momentum. But
they
for
pick it
most
right back
teams,
up.
but not for Lacey, because they're right back in the game, and they're going to make another huge play like that.
And
Fumble.
swarming through the backfield as the
Monmouth says they
Falcons,
have it.
Monmouth Regional picks up the fumble, and this could be the momentum shift in the game that they needed.
That might be the one big play they need. They still have a long way to come, obviously, looking at the scoreboard, but they got 6 minutes left in the second half. So.
Yeah, and they flew through the backfield, and they jumped right on that ball. And you know that the offense for Monmouth Regional with 5 minutes left to go in this game has to go down and score before halftime.
Yeah, absolutely, because obviously it's a big momentum shift, but it's not even just a momentum shift for the team, the defense that made the play. It's for the entire team. So I feel like if they're going to see the end zone in the first half, it has to be now.
Dan, guess what? Something
that, Jake?
exciting's happening. The lights are slowly turning on.
Never done before here.
Never done before.
At
Dan.
Lacey High School.
And then yet another empty look, no back look, single high safety for the Lacey defense. And it's going to be a play action look going deep. Yadlin completes the pass.
Great throw, great catch. That pass was exactly where it needed to be. Now, that's another huge play for Monmouth. They're just outside.
They're in the red zone.
They're in the red
territory,
zone.
Dan. Big
That would be
play
what they needed.
for Lacey, and exactly what I was talking about before. Yadlin with the big throw, one-on-one coverage, single high safety for the defense, and right over the middle, big post route, and Lacey's defense just got torn up on that play. But great coverage, and it was just an amazing catch, Dan, right over the middle of two defenders.
That's what you got to see from a team like Monmouth. If you're going to fall behind, you just got to keep playing until, even if you can't get all the way back, if you can't win the game, you can't go out like they did last week and fall 34-0 again.
Dan, what a big risk play by the Falcons. We saw a lot of short intermediate throws, a lot of quarterback designs runs like haven't been working like we just saw now. Lacey wasn't expecting that one.
I guess not. The thing with big risk, though, is oftentimes
risk.
it comes with big opportunities
Right.
as well. So I really feel like that's what Monmouth needs at this point in the game. If they got to take some risks if they want to stand a chance.
Dan, you're right. 21-0. You're down 21 points, 4 minutes to go left in the second quarter in this first half, and they need to score a touchdown. As Yadlin throws it short and stuffed. No room to run for this Falcons offense.
You're right, Jake. They need the touchdown here. They can't settle for anything less. And almost going into halftime with this score. So we're still on only third down. It looks like third and about 6 or 7. But if they get to fourth down, I feel like they got to go for it.
At this point, Dan, though, don't you think at least they're thinking get some points on the board if it's fourth down? We got to kick a field goal. We got to get these points.
I feel like,
or we need to score a touchdown before half.
I think the touchdown, to be honest, with a score like this, Lacey playing extremely solid, I feel like you really need to understand that touchdown is your only option. That's the way I'd look at it.
As lined up in a pistol over and too high.
A hard hit following the missed pass.
Yadlin just threw it too high and incomplete.
That looked like number 24,
As
Brett
will be-
Spafford, with a hard hit.
4th down, Dan, just like we were talking about before. What is the situation at hand?
I would go for it here. It's
3
it's
minutes
really
left,
what
Dan.
you're looking to do. You
The
got,
second quarter.
but you might want to just put some points on the board because you obviously have a lot of fans here who want to see something. But
Right.
I really feel like if you're going to stand a chance in this game, you got to go for the touchdown. You
Looks
got to
like
go
they're
for
going
the
to go
first down.
for it, Dan.
I agree with this call. I think that's their best option right now.
4th and 7, and it looks like they're going to call a timeout. Think about this one, and then we'll be back with WLTS TV 21. And we're back with WLTS TV 21 as the Monmouth Regional Falcons, 4th and 7. Dan, maybe they rethought this one?
I'm not sure what they're looking at right now. I still really feel like going for it is their. Looks like they're going to go for it.
Looks like
I think that's their best option.
another empty set, no back look, Dan. And this is what's another motion. And Yadlin stepping back to throw. Throws it up. And
Intercepted. The
intercepted by Lacey's defense. The Lions coming back with another
turnover.
Another turnover. Dan, we've seen it time and time again.
Look at what Lacey has done in the first half already. A forced fumble, an interception, and a blocked punt.
And they had another fumble on the punt as well earlier in the game with that miscommunication and
Yeah,
snap.
so 2 recovered fumbles actually. So 1 by the special teams and the defense. Lacey is just playing at the
and
highest level we've
as well-
seen them.
and 3 sacks as well. This defense is on fire tonight, Dan.
It's not even just the defense though. It's everything about Lacey has played as good as they possibly can. You look at the scoreboard, you could see that. But I really feel like the defense has been the key to the game so far. They've obviously let up a couple big plays, but they're able to come back after it. They're able to make an interception like that or a forced fumble.
Another timeout. Dan, let's go back to a Madden situation, Dan. You're 21 up, second quarter, 3 minutes left to go, and what are you going to do? Looks like they're going to run the ball, run the clock out, or is Lacey going to go for another score and top this one?
You got to keep in mind that it is 21-0, Jake. So obviously it's looking good for you, but at the same time you can't act like this game is over. You got to do whatever was working for you before. Monmouth hasn't been able to pick up on it and use it against you yet. So I really feel like you got to go with the same stuff because you can't act like the game is over just because you're up 21-0.
There's a lot of different ways they can go with this. They can either chew the clock out, go down for a score, or even go for a field goal.
If Lacey scores 21 points in the first half, Monmouth is absolutely capable of doing the same thing. This is football.
They could end up getting a big chunk of yards and end up running the clock out for a field goal. They have a lot of options here. A lot of ways to go.
The main way that I think it's different from Monmouth's situation is that I said Monmouth needs some big points. That's what I thought when they went for it on 4th down. For Lacey, I would say that just put any points you can on the board, secure some points.
You're right,
I guess.
And Dan, we were getting some love from our fans tonight.
Our fans, not Lacey fans. They're the commentating fans.
We'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight as well. Our first game under the lights, as everyone knows, first game in Lacey history. It's a historic Lacey history. I actually got a T-shirt today that said "First game under the lights established 2019." So very big game. Everyone's excited about it.
But thank the fans. We can't thank them enough, really, because that's what drives this Lacey team. We always have crazy support, no matter what the sport is.
Yeah, no matter
Football
what the sport.
especially.
And we always talk about it during the basketball games. The energy is what picks up the team.
And it's not
we've
even
seen
just
it time and time again.
The team, the fans are incredibly enthusiastic, and the team is able to feed off that. And
Right.
play at a higher level because of it.
That's why they always say home field advantage. It's that atmosphere that you have at home and that environment that the players just thrive off of.
Yes, you look at Monmouth's bleachers, Jake. They obviously have some people there, but it doesn't compare to Lacey's home.
Right, and
home field.
especially when you're down like this, it's hard. It makes it
It
harder
is
on
hard.
the fans as well.
And that's another thing I love about Lacey is even when they are down, the fans are always in it. They always support them, no matter
Right.
whether they're having a good game or a bad game, whether they win or lose. Lacey's support is always here.
And, Gorski on the run, and it was a big chunk of yards, still short of the first down, but went from 3rd and 16 to 4th and short, and looks like Lacey's going to punt the ball away with 2 minutes left to go in the second quarter. Dan, one thing to note is that it is tie-dye night is the theme, tie-dye, for our student section here at home.
Looking at the field now, I see a lot of tie-dyed shirts, actually. I wasn't even aware of that.
A lot of support from our fans, and looks like Lacey's going to go ahead and punt the ball as the clock's winding down in this one. 1:45 left to go.
That's another thing when you're up by a lead like this, Jake, is you don't want to play risky football. I believe if you're down by this lead like Monmouth, that's when you do want to play the risky football because you really need to take some chances to get some points on the board, but it's about a 4th and 2 or 3, so I wouldn't take any risks here. I would just punt the ball, rely on your incredible defense that's looked amazing tonight,
Dan,
and play it safe.
Not to go unnoted, but that was their first stop in the whole game by this Monmouth Regional defense. And
Besides the fumble.
Besides the fumble, though that was a kind of a miscommunication at the snap, but besides that one turnover they had, just like I said in the beginning of the game, I expected them to load up that box. They loaded up the box and stuffed Lacey's run, and that could be another thing to watch in the second half, as it could shape up to be a difficult run in the second half for Lacey, and we'll see how this one plays out as Lacey looks like they're going to go for it. A rollout by Bernardi. Bernardi throws it to Stevens, and Stevens looks like he's going to get the first down.
I didn't even realize, Jake, they had a first down already. I guess there was a penalty call or something we didn't see, but that wasn't a 4th down play. I don't know.
We must have missed it, Dan. We're not supposed to tell the fans that.
Maybe they reached the first down on the play before. I didn't see. I thought he was a little short.
Another rollout by Bernardi and another connection to Stevens, and they run a lot of waggles and rollouts as well. That's one of their key passing plays. And another throw to the sideline, another first down for Lacey.
Got 45 seconds to go. Lacey wants to put some more points on the board. They want to inflict as much damage as they possibly can.
Right, Dan,
early
exactly
in this
what you
game.
were saying before, and they're churning up these yards.
You have much more confidence going into halftime if you could put as many points as possible.
And it looks like there's going to be a timeout, and we'll be back from WLTS TV 21. Here with WLTS TV 21 as the Lacey offense, 46 seconds left to go in the second quarter, possibly trying to get more points, Dan?
Oh, you got to be trying no matter what. If the good part about being in a situation like this is you can't beat yourself up over not getting points, but at the same time, if you can get within even just field goal range, you got to take the points that you can get. Whatever you can secure, you got to take at this point.
Dan, another catch by Bobby Evans, shaking off tackles for another first down, and the clock's running, 35 seconds to go as the Lions
spike it. Smart call there. Bobby Evans is another one of those players who's just an incredible combination, of both power and quickness. Obviously, we saw that on the last play.
And a great trio they have just a lot of different weapons and a lot of different talent we're seeing from this Lions offense. A lot of different things, a lot of different schemes, a lot of different strategies, and a lot of different players all combining for this 21-0 lead they have.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the backs that Lacey has, Jake. We can't talk about them enough, really. They've looked incredible tonight.
And Dan, Lacey's had great teams in the past. I think this one we're seeing tonight is more of a team unit kind of team where they're all playing together. This is the most I've seen from all the players. Really, a lot of shared workload in the backfield, a lot of different throws to different players, really spreading it out to everyone and giving a big shared workload.
Besides that one forced fumble Monmouth had that we talked about earlier, there really isn't a time in this game that you can point out any miscommunication,
right,
which is why they work so well as a team together.
And Dan, you could say Gorski's the bell cow, but how could you? Because we have Michael Kalachik, Scotty Stevens, Ty Jensen, all running this football. It's a big shared workload in the backfield, and that's hard for defenses, especially in the fourth quarter when they're tired and you have fresh legs like Ty Jensen and Michael Kalachik coming out and running that football.
Another great thing is something I've realized with this team over the past couple of weeks is it's not about that one player. I think that's kind of what you were saying,
right,
but it's all about the team. Nobody is here for themselves. They just want to do whatever they can to make sure this team is the best they possibly could be.
And another clock by the Lions offense as there is 30 seconds left to go in the game, or excuse me, the first half. And the lights look good, Dan.
They do look good. It's obviously making a difference on the field. You look off the field, it's
right.
Dark all around.
Lacey spent a lot of time trying to get these lights, and it looks good, Dan. It's a nice night for football as well.
Nothing beats football at nighttime.
As the Lions offense.
In professional football, we have Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night football, but now we have Friday night high school football, which is awesome for all the fans here at Lacey.
A draw play. Gorski up the middle. Gorski running down the sideline.
He's in again.
Gorski in for the touchdown. That's another Lions score as they go up 28-0.
3 touchdowns in the first half. I should pick him up on my fantasy team. He's had an incredible start. 3 touchdowns for the Lions. They're up 27-0 right now. They've been doing exactly what they needed in the backfield.
You're right, Dan. 27-0 before the extra point, and we'll see if Burrell can go 4 for 4. But
great moment for a sophomore kicker.
3 touchdowns tonight by Justin Gorski. What a performance we are seeing tonight. As Burrell, another one through the uprights, and that is 28-0 with 21 seconds left to go in the second quarter.
What a start. I was saying earlier, I might have to drop Saquon Barkley for Justin Gorski on my fantasy team.
You know, Dan, I actually started Justin Gorski on my fantasy team, and 3 touchdowns tonight, and it looks like I'm going to win. You know, just an amazing performance so far. And, you know, when they have other backs like Michael Kalachik, Scotty Stevens, Ty Jensen to share that workload, it brings a lot off of Justin Gorski's plate, and he's able to be that type of running back he has to be in order to shake off these tackles, in order to get these carries, in order to get these touchdowns, and they're keeping him fresh, and that's one thing we haven't seen in a while from Lacey Township.
One thing we haven't talked about enough this night, really, is the offensive line, too, as well, because none of this would be possible for Gorski without the offensive line looking as good as we've ever seen.
You're right, Dan. Players like
Gorski the support he needed.
Nick Povia, Alex Hupke, Nick Christina, you know, all these players, you know, just playing a big part and getting that push, you know, for the Lions offense. Just an outstanding night for Lacey, 28-0. And Dan, I don't know how many times I could say it. The Falcons need to go to halftime. They need to readjust. They need to see what they can do. What's going to be interesting is how to see how this plays out in the second half. What adjustments are they going to make, and how can they come back from this 28-0 lead? We saw last week, 34-0, that they were unable to come back. I said earlier in the broadcast, how are they able to bounce back from that loss? And they're showing tonight that there's a lot of mistakes, and you know, we haven't really seen too much promise. We've seen a little, but we haven't seen it on the scoreboard.
I can't say this enough. It's that how Lacey is able to adjust to anything Monmouth throws at them, because Monmouth can get a play to work, but they try that play again and it hasn't worked a single time for them. Every successful play they've had has been a play that's only been used the first time for them.
Now, Dan, let me ask you a question. I know I've been a little conservative so far in the plays that we've been talking about. Like you said, take risk. Here, in this situation, would you rather just knee it and go to halftime, or go for that big Hail Mary down the field and try and risk that and see what you can get?
I got to be honest with you. I'm a huge believer in making those crazy plays, taking the chances while you can, because at this point in the game, 28 is very difficult, especially when you're down 28 to nothing.
Well, Dan, they decided to knee it, and they're going to go to halftime. That would have been my decision, as I'm more conservative. But,
I like taking the chances, especially in a situation like this. But
they needed to go to halftime. They need to readjust, and we'll see how this plays out in the second half. Outstanding performance so far by Lacey. Multiple turnovers, multiple sacks, a block punt, another block punt for a touchdown, 3 touchdowns by Justin Gorski, 28-0 going into the second half. Outstanding performance by Lacey.
And that's a huge thing for the second half for them, too, because they're, without a doubt, going to bring that into the second half. They're going to be extremely confident on the field. They're going to probably even look better with all that confidence going into the second half. It's going to carry over, I think.
And then we'll see what happens in the second half, as we'll be back from WLTS TV 21.
Rangers. John Super and Jennifer Lewis is your band ready. Lacey has the best of Monmouth that fully enjoys the halftime performance. the marching lines of Lacey. Susan Butler, according to the rules of the New Jersey State High School Incident Association. These rules provide for fair competition among players. Spectators can help promote good sportsmanship by observing the rules of fair play. Any verbal, written, or physical conduct related to race, gender, ethnicity, disability, sexual orientation, or religion shall not be tolerated, puts the violator to adjustment, and may result in penalties being assessed against your team. Each team is requested to take personal responsibility for keeping this competition at a high level of good sportsmanship. Thank you.
We are back with WLTS TV 21 as the Lions are up 28-0 in the second half. And Dan, we're going to take a look back at some first half highlights.
Yeah, great thing to look at because the Lions have been off to a crazy good start. So let's look a little bit at what caused that 28-0 lead.
And Dan, here's the first play. The Lions defense, like I said, looking great, off to a hot start as Scotty Stevens gets back there for the sack. And just a great move. And that's the thing we saw in the first half. And 3 sacks.
That's another thing I feel like we haven't talked enough about either. I said we didn't talk about the offensive line enough, but the defensive line as well. How many sacks have we had? 3 tonight. We got to give a lot of credit to them because the defensive line has really changed the landscape of this game, getting great sacks like that. Scott Stevens, it's been huge for the Lions so far.
And, just an impressive look from this whole Lions team as the Falcons run in motion here. And Gadlin looks for the pass, and yet another sack, and Hillsheimer coming off that safety blitz off the right side, and, they just weren't expecting it.
Hillsheimer is an extremely strong and quick player. You don't want to cross paths with him. You're not going to win. He's extremely strong and powerful.
And
You don't want to get in the way of him because it's not going to end well for you.
And that was the play we saw earlier in the game where the Falcons kind of gained a little ground, and then the Lions came out of nowhere with the safety blitz and just surprised them. So those are things we're going to be looking out to see if the Falcons can make those second halftime adjustments.
That's mainly what it's been for the Lions. I can't say it enough tonight. The Lions have just had a response for every opening that Monmouth has had so far. The Lions have been able to answer it with something, and that's what caused this lead. What made it 28-0.
Dan, here on this play, a run play by Wiggins and stuffed again by Lacey's front seven. I mean, just time and time again, we've seen it from Lacey's defense. And, just the energy like we talked about before, it's just great.
One last incredible thing with the Lions defense is, I talked a lot about this earlier on actually, but it's really about how everybody works as a team because there's never one person making the play. You always have 4 or 5 guys there who are ready to make the tackle.
And just multiple plays by Lacey's defense, and it's just very impressive. And then here's Gorski on the run, and we saw 3 touchdowns from him earlier, and here's the one where he goes off the sideline for that 3rd touchdown. Just an amazing performance by him.
Something I didn't even think about with those runs, though, is it wasn't like a goal line run where they handed it to him on the one.
Right.
He broke for every one of those touchdowns. He was 15 yards away each time, but it just really goes to show incredible athleticism from Gorski, able to get those touchdowns from handoffs that weren't even that close to the goal line.
And Dan, he can run up the middle, outside. He's very elusive, very fast, and very powerful, and something Lacey's been looking for. And like I said before, the way they share the workload between these backs is incredible. And we haven't seen this in years for Lacey.
Yeah, Jake, it's really been an incredible team effort because it hasn't even just been Gorski, because obviously he had every offensive touchdown Lacey has had so far, but there's been a lot of Kovacic in there as well, so they're really mixing it up, and that's a great way to throw a defense off guard.
And Dan, we'll be back with WTS TV 21 for the second half as the Lacey Lions face off the Monmouth Regional Falcons. And we are back with WLTS TV 21. Live coverage here from Lacey home opener. The Falcons versus the Lions as the Falcons give it a kickoff and rolls out of bounds. That's going to be a flag on the Falcons. Already starting off with a penalty, Dan. I talked about discipline before the half, and some of the things they have to clean up is got to limit those penalties.
Another really important thing is that they're also giving the ball away at the beginning of the second half because Lacey actually started by kicking off. But it's extremely important for Monmouth to just get as many offensive plays as they can in to get any points they can. So giving the ball to Lacey to start the second half isn't the opportunity they wanted.
Dan, that's the problem, though. You got to stay disciplined. You just gave Lacey more yards on offense, and they've already been hot. They've had a hot start, 3 touchdowns by Justin Gorski, and this defense has been on fire. You know, you can't make penalties like that and give even more yards and a better field position to this Lions offense.
That's true, Jake, and I'm definitely expecting Lacey to carry that momentum into the second half. They're obviously extremely confident after an incredible first half performance. So I think they're going to continue to play at an extremely high level.
It'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to carry the same strategy they've carried the whole game. Why change it?
It's been working. There's no reason to change. That's what I was talking about with Monmouth earlier. It's if it wasn't working for them because they've obviously struggled so far, they might want to try something a little bit different. But Lacey has no reason to change anything right now.
Looks like there's a little miscommunication going on in the field. Lacey's going to be moved back. Referee's been doing a busy man tonight, but a good job. As Lacey up the middle. Only about a 4-yard gain, Dan.
That's right about the.
That's good. You need those chunk yards.
Yeah, it's actually got a little bit more than we expected. It looks like probably 6 yards actually. If you can gain 6 yards every play, you'll win the game for sure.
And Dan, I know we talked about the offensive line a little, but Nicholas Povia, Joseph Sabaris, Alex Hupke, all seniors on this offensive line, bringing the experience, teaching the young guys. And a very powerful offensive line, moving the chains and letting Gorski, Kalachik, and all these backs run the football.
There's no such thing as a successful...
And a power run, Dan!
Wow.
Trucks,
Breaks
players!
it. I was just about to say, there's no such thing as a successful offense without an incredible offensive line. It's really a crucial part because you can have great running backs, wide receivers, and a star quarterback, but at the same time, with no offensive line to protect any of it, your team could be nothing.
Dan, that was an incredible run right there, and we've seen it time and time again. Another great run by Lacey. It's traditional, Dan. Coach V loves to run heavy, and it's working, and why change it?
It all comes as a result of the offensive line we were just talking about. They're able to open those holes for the backs, and they have a ton of power, so they can always push for the extra yards.
And a great scheme play by Lacey right there, and what a powerful run, and we talk about it. And, you know, right, we said the offensive line can push these players, but, man, when they can get out in the open field and truck players like that, Lacey could be unstoppable if they could do it all the time.
You look at the run they just had, though, because that was a play where it looked like it probably should have been a gain of 2, maybe 3 yards,
Right.
But the thing I love about Lacey is they're always pushing. They're always going the extra mile to get whatever they can. That was a 5-yard gain right there.
Dan,
Shouldn't have been that.
I'm interested to see what other wide receivers can bring to the table. You know, we've seen a lot of different share of the load here. As
Gorski again.
To the outside and in the red zone
He's
in Falcons
15-yard
territory.
line. Now, I hate to take anything away from the wide receivers, but at the same time, a game like this isn't necessarily the game for them, I don't think, because if the running has been working for Lacey, again, I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but you really don't want to stop. If it's consistent for you and you can put points on the board, you really want to keep going with that.
Dan, it's just going to be interesting to see. A lot of play action, you know, really could key off on this. You know, a lot of run plays, run heavy, play action could be their friend here. As the Lions run up. And another motion, and
Gain, don't think there was any gain there.
Dan, they're running this full house kind of look here. kind of got 3 running backs, kind of a diamond shape in the backfield. Looks like they're really trying to run the ball now, really loading up the backfield even more.
I really like that idea with having a lot of backs in the backfield for them because it really keeps Monmouth guessing. They really don't know what they can expect because Lacey has run the ball almost all game, and obviously that's what they look to do most of the time. So if you have 3 backs, you don't know who it's going to, so it's got a great probability of working.
And looks like there's going to be... Oh, no, Lacey's just going to make a substitution here.
The clock has stopped.
Lacey's
I don't know what this is about. Timeout
back
called, maybe?
could have been a timeout.
Clock's going again, actually.
And we don't know. We are just living up here in the booth right now. But Bernardi's going to come back into the huddle, call the play. You know, I'm just interested to see what we can see from the Lions offense as they look from the I formation twin set. We saw earlier, a run up the middle, run outside, and a screenplay. It could be any situation here.
Less than 4 minutes into the third quarter, they drove right down the field. To be fair, they did have a good start with the kick that went out of bounds.
And incomplete into the end zone, dropped, and Lacey ran another waggle there, trying to pass play action into the end zone, and it just did not work out for them.
I feel like they're gonna keep running the ball after this because of how well it's worked. Not saying that the passing game is impossible for them, but at the same time, if the running has been consistent for you, I'd probably stick to that. Now, one thing with Lacey that I wanted to point out was that they haven't really needed the passing game at all because
they've run
of how
so
much
well,
they've
right.
run. So I don't know what is really driving them to try it that much. Gorski has 3 touchdowns tonight.
Well, it's worth the risk. You know, you run a lot and you play action. You might be able to key in those linebackers to come back in and
there's
get
Gorski
free
again.
Coverage and
4 touchdowns.
Another touchdown by Gorski. The Lions are into the end zone, and you know, Dan, just starting where they left off before.
It's all about the momentum. They're carrying it over into the second half. And they've really done a great job of it. Now they're up 34-0 before the extra point.
And this is exactly where the Falcons were last week, 34-0. And, you know,
Gorski probably just broke the single week record for fantasy points.
Gorski could potentially be, you know, and Burrell, 5 for 5 on extra points. Way to step up when it's needed, Dan. Sophomore. And, he's doing his job tonight. But Gorski could potentially be up for 4 touchdowns. Short conference player of the week.
That's very impressive from a high school point of view as well, the extra point, because obviously people in the NFL, for an example, they've had a lot more practice with it, so they're more used to it. And the reason the NFL versus high school difference isn't really as big for other positions is because the defense and the offense both they have about the same amount of experience, but kicking is totally different because the kick is still the same as in the NFL, a little bit shorter distance, I believe, but just being able to do it in high school is incredible to me.
Dan, it'll be interesting to see throughout this season. I know it's still early in the third quarter. It'll be interesting to see how other teams line up against this Lacey's rush attack and how they're going to stop it, because right now it's looking unstoppable.
Truly has 4 touchdowns for Justin Gorski. If they're able to run like this all season, I don't see anybody stopping them.
And Lacey's looking to give the kickoff as Burrell going for the kick. And kind of line drive down the field past the 20 and picked up, circling around back through the 10. And Lacey trying to make the stop just before the 20 as the Falcons will set up 1st and 10 for their offense.
Now, Monmouth's kick returner probably had a better vision of where that ball was heading than me because he was right on the field. I'm pretty far away. But
in all honesty, Dan, it looked like the ball was going to go out of bounds.
They
could have gained a good chunk of yards.
That's what I was thinking. I would have probably let that ball go, but at the same time, he had a better view of where the ball was heading than us, so I can't say for sure.
Sometimes, Dan, it's situational awareness, and he might have had that, he
might not have wanted to take that risk, so.
But from our angle, it did look like it was going out, and
it would have been close either way.
It would have been close, but some stuff like that, situational awareness, could save them in this game. They need these yards. They need to get good field position. Starting back at the 15 is not going to help this offense. 6:50 left to go in the third quarter. As the Falcons offense sets up with an empty set, no back look once more as they run a quarterback design run. And this has been really getting stuffed up all game.
Lacey's defensive line has looked phenomenal tonight. All these, now, to Monmouth's credit, they have looked pretty solid with the passing game. Lacey has been able to adjust to it. They've done a pretty good job of that, but Monmouth's run game hasn't been able to do anything because of how well our defensive line has played.
You know, Dan, we haven't seen a lot of sprint looks or raw looks from this Monmouth offense, something I was expecting earlier in the game. It's really been a lot of empty set, no back looks, intermediate short throws. It looks like they've changed it up a little bit.
That's one thing that I probably would have taken from the first half and kept on your team, because that was the one thing that has been working pretty well for them. I really feel like the main thing they probably need to change right now is the defense, because I hate to say it, they've had no success on defense tonight. 28-0 going into the half, and then they just let up another touchdown. So
Dan,
I really feel like the defense is the main thing you got to change.
Let's give credit to Coach Stupiello and coaching this defense this week, keeping contain on Yadlin, not letting him run anywhere. Design runs around the corner, design runs up the middle. Nothing for this offense, and Yadlin really has no yards to gain run.
Yadlin, we talked about it a lot tonight. He loves going from the shotgun, so I guess Lacey was prepared for that. They've really done a good job of being able to counter whatever play Monmouth may be going for.
And the pass is complete.
Looks
over
like
the middle from Yadlin.
Just enough for a first down.
You know, really key contained from these linebackers is doing a good job tonight, Dan. You know, what more could you ask of your defense? This is a outstanding performance and one of the better performances I've seen in the past years from this Lions team.
You really can't ask for much more, to be honest. They've made the plays they've had to make. They occasionally let up a short pass, a couple long passes too as well, but they're able to come back after that. They have turnovers.
Dan Wiggins turning it up on the field, down the sideline for another first down, and up to the 45-yard line as the Falcons are turning up yards. Another gash play. We've seen this here and there for the Falcons. They need to be more consistent.
Perhaps I spoke a little too soon, but the thing that Lacey has done all night is when they let up a play like that, they quickly come back.
They retaliate.
They've had one interception. I think just the defense has had a forced fumble plus the one they had on special teams, but they always make the play they need to make when it's important.
And a pistol look here as they hand it off.
Flag
Wiggins
down.
Stuffed in the backfield once more, and there is a flag on the field, as you said, Dan.
I was not able to catch what that penalty may be. Let's see.
It looked like it was before the snap. Could have been false start or an offsides. As the Falcons will have a 1st and 10. Another shotgun dual back look, as they said. They're the running back in motion. And
Shotgun
Yadlin.
again.
Short pass. Stuffed once more. Over to Aiden Convery.
Now, one of the things I just realized with that play was one of our Lacey players missed the tackle. But the thing is, there were so many other guys waiting to make the play that it's all right. We have a lot of layers to our defense. We're ready to make those plays. Even we're ready to pick up. They're ready to pick up their teammates when they mess up or they're down. There's always more to this defense.
We haven't really seen a lot of production from a lot of these other receivers. We've seen a lot of Moore and a lot of Wiggins. Not much of Connery tonight. And, Yadlin's shaking off defenders, running around the corner, up the sideline, and pushed out of bounds for the first down and a flag, roughing the passer. Late hit on the quarterback as he stepped out of bounds, and that's going to be definitely a flag on Lacey, as there'll be another 15 yards up the field.
I had trouble seeing that, but a late hit call can be dangerous for Lacey. It would move.
And that's tough
Monmouth
too sometimes, Dan, as a player. it's hard to get angles on people when you're running full speed and he's already stepped out on the sideline. Sometimes you just can't stop yourself.
I absolutely understand that. I get the mentality that you don't want to just stop, because even before they step out of bounds, they might, if you stop, they might even take it further. So you really just want to do whatever you can, and I understand the mentality behind a late hit, because you want to play it safe almost.
Dan, those
Fumbled
and a
snap.
miscommunication at the snap.
Lacey
and
looks
Lacey
like
says they
have
got it.
They have it for sure.
And Lacey has the fumble recovery and another momentum shift from this Falcons offense to the Lacey Lions. Dan, it's unbelievable how the Falcons can charge all the way down the field and then yet another turnover from this Lacey team.
You can clearly see from that snap, that one was definitely a miscommunication as well.
It most definitely was. Yadlin did not look ready, and the snap came off. And a big miscommunication and things we talked about before the half. Things we said needed to be fixed, and it just hasn't shown here in the second half.
Communication errors have been huge against them. Now, the thing with Lacey, though, even though it did come as a result of miscommunication by Monmouth, is they were ready to get that fumble, and that's what's making them such a great defense tonight. They're ready to make the play, no matter what it may be.
And they throw the ball and off the hands, and the Falcons were loading up that box and ready to push the offensive line back as the clock's winding down with 25 seconds left to go, 35-0 in this third quarter, as the Lacey Lions look like they have this thing almost locked up. Dan, I mean, we still have another quarter to go, but
you never want to say it too early.
That's a hefty trail ahead, Dan, of this Falcons team, and based off what I've seen tonight, it's going to be hard for them to climb back.
But you look at how Lacey has the ball on a second down, so they're already going to – I hate to say this because you never want to say it too early, but you're absolutely right that when you say they almost have it locked up, because now that we're in the fourth quarter, it's going to start to become a game of time management. They're going to look at run the ball. Well, they have been running the ball most of the night anyway, but now they're going to start running the ball just to eat up the extra time. It's really gonna be a lot of running from Lacey.
And we'll be back here in this fourth quarter from WLTS TV 21. We are back here with WLTS TV 21 in the fourth quarter, 35-0 as the Lacey Lions lead this game in their first home opener under the lights, Friday night lights, and could be a historic victory for Lacey.
Flag down.
There's a flag on the field.
Now, Jake, you are a former Lions football player, so I'd like to ask you real quick, how do you feel this team has grown ever since you played with them? Have they been getting better since over the past couple of years?
Right, so when I played back in my sophomore year, we had a lot of talent and a lot of great seniors, a lot of leadership. We went to the playoffs. We lost our first round. Last year, we had a mix of different leaders. We just weren't able to put it together. We had a lot of talent, started off 3-0, and we just weren't able to put it together. We faced a lot of tough teams. It just didn't work. We went 5-5, and we had a good season. We made improvements. This season, it looks like there's a lot more energy, and I can tell in the practices that there is a lot more energy, and the work excuse me, Dan, the work ethic from these players is amazing. Like I said, the workload, it's not only Gorski, Kalachik, Evans,
The entire
Bernardi,
backfield,
the whole
the entire
offensive line,
offense.
the whole defense, the team unit I'm seeing, it's just incredible. And the way they've grown over the years is just amazing. And like I said, a lot of young talent and a really good core group of seniors really pushes this team to its limits.
So you believe that this team that we have here in 2019 into 2020 will have no problem following in the footsteps of teams over the past couple of years?
Well, Dan, it's really early in the season. I know for a fact if they do win this game, they'll be 2-0, obviously. But they have Central next week, and that's really going to be a big game for them. It's really like the fight of the Parkway, the fight of the towns, you know what I mean? Because they're so close to us, and we
Big
haven't played them
rivalry.
in about 10 or 15 years. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know they play Red Bank Regional this year, and they play a lot of different northern, harder kind of divisional ranking teams. So it'll be interesting to see. But early on in the season, they're looking good, and it's good to get off to a hot start when you're playing so many different teams that you haven't played before. So it's good to get that momentum going at first. But it's like I said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So, Dan, it's really early this season to tell. But from what I'm seeing tonight, if they can run up 4 touchdowns every day, get a blocked field goal, like a million turnovers, Dan, then I see no problem with this Lacey team going and being a playoff contender this year.
You're completely right, Jake, because when I look at this team, I really just think of how there's not much more they could have done tonight. They've done everything they needed to do. They made the plays on defense. They have the big plays on offense they need to make. They scored the touchdowns. They had turnovers. There's really, if you're looking at it from like a coaching perspective, for an example, there's really not much more you could ask for from your team.
And the Lions are going to line up in that Twins eye look formation, and they're going to run it up the middle, and they're going to get that first down, another first down for the Lions. And, Dan, one thing I need to tell you is that last year we had a lot of injuries, at least 15 injuries last year, only in practice, too. We lost, last year we lost Dylan Goodzak for a good amount of time. We even lost the starting quarterback now, Noah Bernardi, for a couple weeks. I went out. A lot of other players went out. We had a lot of injuries last year, so it's going to be interesting to see how these players stay healthy this season. Like last year, Chase Grant was out. He's out again with another injury. It's going to be interesting to see how this builds up. And I know towards the end of the season, it gets tough. Players are tired. Players are mentally tired as the Lions complete another pass for about a 5 or 6 yard gain. And it's just going to be interesting to see how they can hold it together throughout the season, because I know it gets mentally tough and physically tough towards the end of the season.
That's something we're very thankful for. There have been no injuries on either side of the board in this game so far. But at the same time, you're right. After, especially through an entire football season, football is such a brutal sport, it's hard to stay healthy. But at the same time, we know that there are so many players on every single team that whether it's the Lions or any team the Lions are going to play, they do whatever they can to stay healthy and do the best they can for their team.
Dan, that was DJ Pulzano on the catch before.
Polizano did a great job with that catch because he was able to get the extra yards. It looked like he was going to be tackled, gain about 4 or 5, but he's able to break it, so it was like an 8-yard gain.
And that's the thing we've been seeing, a lot of elusive and a lot of breaking tackles of this Lacey offense. You know, that's what you want to see, and that's how you get those chunk yards. You know, you throw it short and you hope for the best, and when you have talent like that you know can shake it off like that, you have confidence, and you know you don't have to go and bomb it down the field every 5 seconds, because they have a good run game and they have a good short passing game, which can eventually lead to those good, accurate, deep passing throws. And this offense could be formidable in the future. As Bernardi throws it again, shaking off tackles down the sideline as they push for another first down. A flag on the play. Flag flies. 2 flags flies as players are all over the field pushing and shoving. And, you know, you got to be frustrated if you're this Falcons team right now.
Looked like probably penalties on both teams there at the end of the play.
Frustration building from this Falcons team, and I mean, how could you blame them? You're down 35-0 in this fourth quarter with 6 minutes left to go. It's just tough.
We also got to pay a little attention to how the Lions have broken tackles all night. It's not even just the power that they push through the line or anything like that. They've actually had Falcons players get their hands on them, but they're able to break the tackles, and it's really been a key factor for them all night. They gained every tackle they've broken, they've usually gained at least 3 or 4 yards from it. So it's part of the reason they've been able to get so far.
Dan, just, what a great night by these players. A lot of hard work, and I've seen it in practice too. And, when you play teams like this and you're unsure of, and you play a whole new division, you don't know what to expect. But, the way they came out and the way they had this hot start, it's going to play a factor in the future as the season goes along. Dan, it looks like they have this game pretty much locked up with 5:30 left to go in the game. It looks like Lacey's going to move on to 2-0.
Yeah, that's right, Jake, because if you do the math, Monmouth would need to get about 1 touchdown every minute for the rest of the game. Not to mention Lacey does have the ball right now with the first down, so they're probably going to have another 3 run plays right off the bat.
And another strategical analysis by Dan McClung. And you can do that. You had a perfect score on your SAT in the math section. So, Dan, break this down for me. How many points, how would they get these points in this 5 minutes? What is the probability of that? How is that even possible?
All right, we're not going that far.
No. They would need a lot. They would need a lot of help. They would need a lot of turnovers. They would need the onside kicks. It would be tough. And, what I want to see from this Falcons team is how they're going to finish this game. I at least want to see them put up a couple more points and, really finish it off. Don't come off another game as a blowout. Don't come off another game as a shutout. You need to score points, and you need to get them now.
I hate to use a statistic like this, but you're absolutely right when you talk about something like that. Think about this statistic, Monmouth has not scored a point this season yet, almost 2 games in. Now, one thing I didn't really point out earlier, but we kind of talked about the momentum. It obviously carried into the second half, but you got to think even in the long run, this momentum is going to carry on to next week when we play Central, for an example, which is a huge game for the Lions, obviously, because the momentum isn't just for the single game. If you come off a 35-point win or whatever this may end as, it's really going to carry over, and that's a great confidence booster for your entire team.
Yeah, Dan, Lacey could potentially go 3-0 if they are able to carry this momentum. I know it's going to be hard. Next week is going to be a big game at home.
High pressure.
Against Central. We haven't played them in over 10 years. It's going to be a really big game, and I expect this stadium to be packed.
I could definitely see that happen because our Lacey support is here as always already tonight
Dan,
as we play Monmouth, but Central is an even bigger game because it's Lacey High School's biggest rival, basically, so we should have a sold-out crowd.
Dan, we are unsure of the score of Jackson Liberty and Central right now as they currently play, but Central Regional Eagles did start off 0-1 against Toms River South. They lost 22-0. It would be important for them to get this win against Jackson Liberty tonight.
Yeah, because we talked about Lacey's momentum. Momentum exists for any team that we talk about. So Central, even if they lost their first game, they really need to come off a win just so they can stand a chance against this Lacey team that's been incredible tonight.
I know. Weirdly enough, Dan, if they were to go 0-2 and Lacey were to go 2-0, I'm not saying they are, but sometimes you could overlook things. And I know this Lacey team has never done that. They're always looking right at the next team, never overlooking them. But sometimes it gets hard, and sometimes it gets tough as a player. And sometimes you're ready for the game, and this possibly we're unsure of what's happening. Oh, this 1-1 team, this 0-2 team that could come in, could be angry, could be ready, could be gritty, and it's going to be a nasty fight next week.
That's right, Jake, because there are a lot of teams that use that 2-0, especially with a victory of this kind of margin. They get overconfident. Look at the Patriots when they were 17-0,
right,
I believe, and they went to the Super Bowl and then lost to the Giants. They were overconfident, and it
that
ended up
that 18-0, almost undefeated.
They were 18-0,
right,
excuse me,
through the playoffs as well. So, we've seen it a lot. But one thing I know that this Lacey team will keep their mindset right, and these coaches do a great job of that.
Lacey is a very good team in terms of mental conditions too, because they obviously have the physicality on the field. They're always competing, but they never let the score of their last game get in their head, whether it's a win by a ton of points or a loss like that, because they're always going to just go out there and play their best football no matter what the scenario may be.
And Dan, looks like they're going to go for the field goal. Burrell through the uprights and a way to step up.
A long
This kid,
field goal.
1 field goal, 4 for 4, or 5 for 5, excuse me, on extra points. Way to step up, way to be the next guy up, and Burrell has done an amazing job all night.
Especially as a sophomore, it's obviously a lot of pressure playing on a varsity football team, but Burrell has done exactly what he needed to do. In terms of high school, that's a very long field goal as well, but Burrell is able to pull it off. It was a perfect kick,
And Dan,
right where it needed to be.
Dan Stroin will come back. Once Stroin comes back, he's a junior. Burrell's a sophomore. It'll be interesting to see how that competition comes up now, because we see how Burrell has been kicking. Stroin, we already know, is a good kicker, so it'll be interesting to see how they have those kicker competitions per se in practice, and we'll see. Once he's healthy, we'll see what happens. Could be a shared workload, between the kickers.
Yeah, you want to put the competition aside, because at the end of the day, both of them are very strong, just doing the best they can for Lacey. It's all about Lacey as a team, and that's something we talked about earlier. They have a lot of depth to their roster, which is always a great thing for any team.
And the interesting thing about
Great
Burrell is
kick.
he used to play soccer, so he has a great kicking leg.
Any
And-
soccer player.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see, Burrell's young, and he doesn't have a lot of experience in the varsity level. Stroin can teach him that stuff.
He's really had a chance to shine tonight.
He has, and he went perfect for perfect on the night so far. And he's going to have those struggles, and he's going to have those problems in the season. And for him to have that veteran kicker in front of him is helpful, and that's kind of stuff you need. And it's a good thing to have this kind of competition and this good depth. Like you said earlier, they have a lot of depth, and it's a good thing to have that and a lot of experience. And not much more you can really say.
Yeah, not to mention, that was an incredible kickoff, too. It was,
Right.
I believe, inside the 15-yard line, and it was right by the sideline, but at the same time, it wasn't going to roll out of bounds either. So that's another huge piece of the puzzle people don't realize, getting the kickoff where it needs to be. Because if you have a kicker who can just kick field goals without giving a good kickoff, you can give your opponent such great field position, and that can change the landscape of a game, especially after multiple drives. So maybe that's somehow that they'll split the workload, maybe, because whether it's just the field goals or the kickoffs, Burrell has done a great job of both of them. If Stroin can shine a little bit in one of them, maybe he'll work in that spot a little bit more, and Burrell will take the other. But
And another sack by Lacey's defense. Dan, I was just about to ask you as time was winding down, and this Falcons offense trying to run no huddle as this game is just about over.
they might just let the clock go.
As 5 seconds, and it's winding down, and it looks like Lacey's going to move on to 2-0 as they defeat the Monmouth Regional Falcons tonight, 38 to nothing, excuse me, with that field goal kick. Dan, next week we'll be here under the lights against Central. What are your thoughts on the game?
Well, looking at this game, I said it earlier, and not to use the same words, but as a coach, you can't ask for more from your team. They've literally delivered on every aspect of the game. Offense, defense, even special teams, they had a touchdown.
Exactly.
You don't see that often.
Right.
But you can't ask for much more. If they continue to play like this, they're going to be a huge threat to every team in this division.
Dan, an amazing performance tonight by this Lacey offense, Lacey defense, and special teams, going all the way down the field. Justin Gorski with 4 touchdowns on the night. Amazing job, and we can't wait to see it next week.
I'm excited to be back here next week. We're going to be playing Central Under the Lights, the second Under the Lights game ever. Tonight was pretty historic. We got
A historic victory for Lacey under the lights, first time ever, and we'll be here next week for Central. For Dan McClung, I'm Jake Serrano, and for all the crew here at WLTS, have a good night.